Alright, so I finally got some more stuff. I got the tire on. I don't know if I put that in my last video, but it worked out pretty good with the bead lock. So I got a bead lock, and then that's the valve stem. So it doesn't, the torque doesn't rotate my inner tube and break off my valve stem. That one has enough torque to do that. I already did it, and I had to change that tube on the side of the road. Well, actually, no, I didn't. It was in the apartment. I used one of those CO2 instantaneous inflatable CO2 thingies. I threw it in here somewhere. Oh, yeah, it's in here. Just hook up a CO2 thing to that and whoosh, instantly inflated it. The tire slime got me home. Well, to the complex. I got the screen on with these. These are the 3D printed brackets I had made, Jesus, that I was telling you about. It looks a little bit dirty because of the lighting. That's like this clear glue, and it doesn't look too bad. It looks bad on the camera, but it's like, see, it's like reflective or something. My screen, that thing's gonna be pretty tight. It's cool, every time you touch it, you can tell it's like hung it, like the chip in there has suspension or something. You can feel the springs bouncing around, doing, doing inside of there. So I know it'll stand the shock. You got reverse, 3, 2, 1, switch, waterproof USB. That's all in wired and, well, kind of wired. I'm going to change all those connectors to, where did they go? In here. These kind of connectors. These waterproof ones. And I'm thinking that I can hook a whole bunch of them, as long as they plug into the right place, of course, into like big harness connectors instead of having multiple littles. I think I can clean up a lot of that wiring. And that's the spare battery, and oh, I already showed that in the other video. I got one of these things for my other bike a while ago. It's one of those 40 amp splitters so that you can have 2 batteries. And I don't like it because it actually restricted a bunch of power on that, because it has 3 batteries together, and I think the demand is like 30 amps for each wheel, and that's 40 for both. So it restricted it. Now they have a 100 amp that's out. I might try it. The reason I wanted to do this is because you can have a spare battery like this, and this spare will probably go in the front right here. I want to do that because if I get some bigger than this is just kind of, I had it laying around, I want to get 2-inch and some 1/4-inch thick, so it's very thick, and then kind of screw it onto here, and then do the same type of bracket onto here. And if it's 2-inch, of course, it'll just cover more, and that'll be shielding. It'll be my shields. But that there, these smaller ones I will put in here. However, it needs to be for the battery in here to be secured. Now, the reason I want to do that is because I don't know about this square tube. It seems very thin, and ever since I got it, I almost regretted this frame instantly, but it's the most expensive one, so it should be the best. Not true. I don't know. So I'm kind of sandwiching this. My idea is to sandwich it with like 6 screws, bolts, and have it go through, and then sandwich it. Maybe even shave this and epoxy it, but maybe it having a little bit of flexibility will keep it from breaking. I don't know if this section is even in jeopardy of being broken because all the weight, the way that it's distributed, I don't know. It'll probably be fine, but this long section of very tiny amount of material, I think it would behoove me to reinforce it somehow or another. That'll do something. The reason I wanted this, though, I digress, is I don't need a lot of extra juice from my secondary batteries. In fact, I don't want a lot, because that little battery will only be able to push 50 amps tops. That little thing will restrict it down to 40, keeping it alive longer, stronger, forever. This primary battery is capable of pumping out 150 amp continuous, not the 150 amp continuous that like NB Power has on their site, because that's actually not, it's like a true like 120 or something, but this one is going to be a true, it's a different Chinese company, so I trust them more. Just kidding. Trust them equally is less. So all that needs to do is basically balance the capacities. As this is discharging quickly, this will discharge a little bit, because if it discharges too fast, then this battery will charge it fast, and then that'll just put a lot of strain on this. So it'll like be pumping out 20 amps, and then 30 amps are going into it just to charge it, because that one is 30 amp hours smaller than this one, and about 100 amp output less at the same voltage. So they need to equalize. This restricts it so that I can charge this battery and it will charge this primarily, but then also kind of trickle charge that other one. I'm not going to wire it up the way that it's supposed to be. I know that any of you watching this probably don't care about that, but for the e-bike world that may watch this someday, just so you know, this is, let's see, this one should be plugging into my primary battery or another battery in general. I'm not going to at all. I'm probably just not going to use that. That can be an input for another one of these or something if I put one in my little sack back there, which I might, because it fits perfectly and that's just satisfying. I'm going to plug it straight into the main battery supply. So the battery supply that this primary battery goes to, and this little heat shrunken fixture that I overkilled, I did this so I don't have a bus bar. It's just a bolt and then eyelids, copper eyelids, or whatever you call them. So this is going to go to this side, basically, cut and spliced in. That way this only discharges up to the full 40 amps of this. But this is not restricted because it's teeing in on the out, not on the in. I don't want to restrict it at all. This one I want to shoot out as much voltage as possible so that this demand is very little. This is just to make it go further. That's the idea there. And I can charge it conveniently somewhere, you know, make a plug for that somewhere up here or something like that, so that I can plug it at the front of the bike, and then my normal plug I'm putting here, so that it's covered by weather and stuff like that, will plug the primary bike. But either way, the charge will go to both bikes, or batteries. Will go to both batteries. These are my shutoffs. I have one for my primary battery. I made this little, I didn't make it. I found this from another Chinese component that I bought that I didn't use, and I'm going to use it on this because it fits perfect. But I'm going to put my plastic shielding here. I'm going to cut it, and then this part right here won't be removable. I'm going to put it through that, and then that will hold on to the plastic on the other side, keeping it stable. And then this will shut off my primary battery if I want to. And then the other side will be for my secondary bank. So it'll shut off that battery and or anything else that might be tied into it, like this one. So that's that. And this is going to be next on the list, I think. I think that's it for my little update of what I've done in the past day. My day off. Yeah. Got a little breakout harness in case I do put a battery back here. That's cool. Easy peasy. I found a little hidden compartment under here, and I wanted padding, more padding, so I put my spare tire back there. And then I was like, hey, I'll fill it with some of that slime and then suck as much of the air out as possible, and it worked perfect. It's a nice slimy squishy bottom, and then that kind of protects it. I can zip it up too. I didn't know if I was going to stick this under there or not, but this is exactly the size of that sucker. So it's like, man, I bought that for that, and measures up perfect for mounting up in the front. And I'm like, and it also works perfect for this. And coincidentally, it's like the cheapest battery on Amazon. Not coincidentally, I'm super cheap. Everyone knows it. Yeah. I think that's it. Next up, these are my side panels. This is what I'm going to probably cut it off right here, or maybe something like cut around the little holes here so that this can be separately removable than this little square. And that way I can mount stuff to that. I don't want to mount anything to this plastic because it's removable by these little quick screws. And it'd be a bummer if you had thumb screws that could remove this panel and you needed to on the side of the road, but you can't because you have a circuit breaker bolted in right here with an Allen or a 13 or whatever, and you're like, oh, that takes all the convenience away. So I'm gonna do it to where it like this, like that over, so that this is part of the securing. I was going to do an extra hole here and here and have thumb screws, and then like I don't want to buy more thumb screws and have mismatched, or I don't want to deal with any of that. I could just secure this plate with one hard screw here, and then these two normals, and then just cut it differently, however it needs to be cut. And I'm actually thinking, since I have angle aluminum going right here, I might just throw a hinge, one of those long spiral hinges that go the whole length, and then I can just doot 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 doot, and it'll kind of fall out this way, which would be perfect. It would, and then the point of that is you don't have to put these nice, pretty, shiny panels on the ground, and it's not in the way. It's just hanging right there. So I think it'll work. It'll work. It'll work. That's my tracker. It's USB, chaojin, magnetic. Got a little charger there. So I'm just gonna permanently, I'm gonna have to buy another USB bank. But what's cool about this is the power is already 12 volt. It converts it up in here. So I can't just tee off of it. That's what's so cool about it. I'm gonna have to get a little step down USB deal like that, but one that I can mount inside of here next to the battery and everything else, so that I can charge stuff like this inside. Because how annoying if I had to pull that out and charge it once every 90 days.
Please turn on the TV. I want Fox and the Hound, please.
Jeez, you're so weird. Can I have your hand? Thank you.
Please.
Food or something. Okay. Let's go, Courage.